you saw a video of a typical church service in Santo Domingo. And there is a story behind the songs and the community there. But it all happened because one person, Reverend Steve Funn, had some faith. The faith that he had was that if we took a bunch of Americans to a foreign country, and if by working with the people in the foreign country, we did some community project, that would glorify God. And so in 1992, a group of Americans from Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, I think that was it, all gathered in Atlanta, flew down to Miami and then to Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. We had an orientation for 2 days, getting to know the country. As it turned out, I was appointed translator for the group, even though I spoke no Spanish. I was born and raised here in Albuquerque, but we did not speak Spanish at home. In the 40s when I was growing up, if you spoke with an accent, you were definitely looked down upon. So we learned proper English, and a lot of people say I'm from Kansas or from someplace where there's a very flat accent. No, I'm not. I'm from Albuquerque. But as soon as I got off the plane, I started to listen, and by Monday morning, when we moved to the construction site, I was translating like I was a native. And I was surprised. The construction site was nothing but a big plot of land. It was probably about the size of this church. And none of the Americans, were builders. We had no experience in construction. The Dominicans thought they had building experience, but if you see some of their houses, you talk about leaning. I mean, they're way off kilter. So the man who was in charge taught us how to use sand to lay bricks, and then fill the bricks with sand, with mortar, and then put rebar down each one. We did three blocks high and moved to the next column, 3 blocks high, all the way around both sides of the pavilion. And then we were ready for the next layer. By the way, when I say cement, we had to mix everything by hand. Nothing electric out there. Even if we did have an electric cement mixer, there's no place to plug it in because there's no electricity during the day. The people in the city or the country only had electricity at night because the government and the business take it all during the day. Well, we knew that, so we were going to build our church in very small stages. By the 3rd day, we had almost completed 20 feet high columns on 2 sides. And then our next project, we sort of had a hiatus because we had to make sure the cement was all set. Behind the church, there was a big hole in the ground. We covered it with a block of wood, and then what they call zinc corrugated roofing material. We filled that with cement, with holes dug in it, and we put together behind the church a toilet, a running faucet, a shower, and a 2 sink laundry facility for the community. Then we built walls around it. We only got about halfway, 3/4 of the way up, because now it was time to go back to the church and construct what you, very much like what you see in our church, wooden beams that come up and meet in the middle. And then we covered those with the zinc. And that was, we finished that on the day after Thanksgiving, which was our last day at the construction site. But we were able to bless the structure, and the people were happy as clams to have a place to worship. We would have called it a dump, but that's American, mentality. They thought it was beautiful, and I think it's the most beautiful church on earth, because my blood, sweat, and tears went into it. Well, in the succeeding years, I went back, even with, in the 38 times I've gone back in 27 years, I've only gone back by myself half a dozen times. Most of the time, I've taken people with me so that I can introduce them to what I love and found there. To fast forward, because I've got a lot to say, they finally put, they concreted in everything, put in a concrete roof, made 3 classrooms, opened a school, because schooling in the Dominican Republic is free, but you have to pay for everything. You have to pay for your books, your papers, your pencils, your uniforms. You have to have shoes, leather shoes or tennis shoes. Nothing else will do. And our school has no such requirements. In fact, the school pays for practically everything. It buys the books, it buys the paper, the notebooks, everything. By the way, that school is called Colegio ECM El Tamarito. That means college, or for them it's grade school, is called a colegio. Of ECM, which is the Spanish Iglesia Comunidad Metropolitana, MCC, of El Tamarito, which is a little jungle village outside Santo Domingo. You look at it now, and it's grown up a lot. So it's really no longer in the jungle. The city has grown up past it and has subsumed the village. They always had, however, a dream for a freestanding space. This space, although 3 rooms, meeting twice a day, the morning students met until 12:30. The afternoon students came in at 1 and stayed till 4 or 4:30. So they were able to get 6 classes a day. They finally got a 2nd floor built with 2 more classrooms. And so they were able to offer up to the 5th grade. But they've always wanted more. They wanted a place for the kids, for instance, to be able to go out and just run themselves silly. So a church bought them the land about 2 blocks away from their place, and they started construction. Now, what did they construct first? Would you believe a basketball court? Now, who in their right mind goes out and builds a basketball court as the first sign of construction? Well, little did I know, but God knew. What that did was it started a community of people that had someplace to go, someplace to get off the street, someplace to play ball, someplace to be kids and young adults, etc. Then they constructed a community center, which will double as a church, because the meal the kids get at school may be the only meal, the only real good meal the kid has a day. They have a cafeteria, and they have offices for the staff, and then they have, I need a drink. They have bathrooms, 4 or 5 stalls in each bathroom. So there's enough to consume and to serve everybody. She says bathrooms are very, very important. We are so hung up about bathrooms or how we do it. In the Dominican Republic, if you're really desperate, you just go up to a parked car, take it out, piss on the tires, zip it up, and off you go. It's a little bit harder for women, I have to admit. And I kid you not, they're very good about lowering their pants and just squatting, doing their business, pulling them up, and off they go. Of course, they don't wear real tight skirts, so that helps. Then they started constructing a 5-room school. The school is now open. It was officially started about 2 weeks ago, just like here when school started here. Latest report is people are absolutely delighted. Now, how did a small community that had to have 19 Americans come help first ever get to the point where now they were able to build and build and build? Well, a lot of help, obviously. The donations were received from all over the place. Several MCCs have gone down, or some people have gone down, taken money, purchased cement or bricks or windows or whatever was needed. Just by accident, well, in God's time, a house in Punta Cana, which is 150 kilometers, maybe 90 miles away, was going to be refurbished, and the American that owned the place said, oh, I'm just going to take everything to the dump. Well, his neighbor, who happens to be a friend of MCC, said, would you be willing to donate them to the church in Santo Domingo? And he said, yeah, if they pick it up, I'm just going to take it to the dump. But they got 2 6-burner industrial stoves, a couple of standalone stoves, the sinks, windows for 7 or 8 rooms, a refrigerator freezer combination. There were probably more. The point is that for very, very, very little money, the cafeteria was taken care of. The wooden windows were put in the classrooms. They're louvered, so they can let in air. They had to buy windows for the outer window, for the windows on the outside, probably because of possible accidents like that. The point is, it is an absolutely, absolutely, absolutely beautiful building. And it all came about because a few people had some faith that it would be possible, that it could be possible. I'm not asking any of you if you want to go with me next time. If you do, you're invited. It will open your eyes. It will absolutely open your eyes to the level of poverty and yet the level of determination that people can have in a country that things don't work too well otherwise for them. I titled my sermon, "A Person Has to Do What the Spirit Says Do." I asked, there is a gospel song with those words. Because I think that what I did 27 years ago, and what I seem to continue to do every year when I go back, is I keep responding to a little voice in the back of my head that says, "Hey Ray, there's more you can do. Let's go get it done." And I go. Call it faith, call it stupidity. But the people of the Old Testament that were referred to in the reading, they overcame obstacles simply because they had a little bit of faith. What's the difference? Why can't we? And so I'm challenging you that regardless of what the Spirit is saying to you, it may not be go to the Dominican Republic. It may be go visit your neighbor. Somebody that you know is sick, give them a call. It may be there's a march downtown. Let's go. It could be any of the above. And yet, what would happen if we said no? What happened if no one would have shown up? I wouldn't have gone to the DR. I wouldn't have gone back 38 times. I wouldn't have been able to witness to the beauty of the people there. All of that would have been lost. Thank God I said yes. And sometimes stupidly I said a little bit more. I committed more and more to going down. So if the Spirit says jump, don't say how, why, or how. Just say, okay, where do you want me to jump to? Because there's a reason you've got to follow your heart. Thank you very much.